Alright, Diablo 4 players, let's talk about Season 10 with the brand new Chaos powers and the new update to Infernal Hordes, what to expect, and kind of what is here to talk about. So, the first thing I want to briefly mention is the version of the game that actually already had these sort of angelic powers, and they had these demon powers, which allow you to get other stats in the game. Now, technically this is a while back, but they have actually literally copied the Rune system from the original design, which was something that was shown off a long time ago. So I'm not sure if this is going to be the brand new Chaos powers, but with Chaos, sometimes it has to do with like light and dark, so angelic and demonic. And again, they already have this here, so this could be something to consider as far as the new powers go. I'm not sure how they're exactly going to implement them. Maybe there's some sort of like brand new interface, but for the most part, you may be getting some extra stats here. We kind of expect to see this, and I want to go over firstly the start date now. So as far as it goes, as of right now, it's going to be 44 days from now, which is going to be September, technically 23rd, because it got to roll over an extra day for the brand new update. So September 23rd is probably going to be the release date, but I can also go over what not to expect. Okay, so now that we have kind of the release date, let's go over what you probably won't expect to see in Season 10. So the reason why I can tell you that this is not coming out is because they already actually revealed this in a previous note here. So as far as like a new class, there's not going to be a new class. There's not going to be a new expansion. This is all coming out in 2026. We don't have an official release date on these. And then as far as like a new ranking system and leaderboards, they will not be in Season 10. Again, this was shown off at a roadmap as well as another discussion. But basically, do not expect to see these. Now, what we can expect to see is a new Infernal Hordes mode. So Infernal Hordes is what you guys are seeing in the background for gameplay. This is actually back when it first came out, which was actually pretty exciting. But basically what it comes down to is you're fighting out waves of enemies, so expect to see kind of newer modifiers, and of course we're going to get some new powers and hopefully some new rewards here. There are some items that can only drop in the Infernal Hordes for the most part, like the Shard of Verithel and a couple of other things like the Crown of Lucian, which used to be really, really good. Maybe we can get a buff to that, because that was a super overpowered item, and it got nerfed before it even got to see any play, and no one uses that item at this point. So hopefully that will get buffed as well. As far as new powers, again, when I think of like the Chaos, I think of like the Angel, Demon, Light, and Dark. So again, this could be the same implementation that we saw back in the earlier stages of the game in 2020. Again, they did literally copy the exact same rune system that they showed off years ago. So kind of how it works is you will have a certain amount of angelic power and demonic power, and on items they could actually roll with getting a certain bonus if you meet those thresholds of whatever it requires. Kind of think of it like the tags on like the denial control. Usually with the seasonal powers, they have some sort of like threshold of like, if you get 2 or 3 X amount of these, then you can get whatever, right? So I expect to see some sort of form of like that. So there's some sort of like, build identity and potential when you kind of mix and match certain things. And then I expect to see a reputation board when you get a spark at the very end. And another thing that I want to go over is specifically the new IP. So there's also going to be a new collab coming out this season, which is pretty cool. If you guys remember, we did get a Berserk collab in the past. And while I want to say the skins were definitely pretty cool with the Berserk collab, the main issue that a lot of Diablo players had, and I saw this as feedback, and this was posted on lots of different forums, was specifically that players wanted to see more content. Like Diablo Immortal got like a raid, had way better like rewards. Overall, I want to say that Diablo 4 is kind of behind in that area. So I'm happy to see brand new skins, and I get it, they got to make money. So if they want to sell the skins in the shop, that's totally acceptable. But I also want to say it'd be cool to be able to unlock some cool skins, not just like, a little border icon or some smaller things that really don't feel like it's worth doing the content for. So we'll have to wait and see what they do with it. But I also want some sort of gameplay content. Like, as much as I enjoy getting cool skins and stuff in video games, I think one new boss or one sort of new like mechanic that would be introduced with the new season, not just again the season mechanic, but then also with the collab, some sort of content to keep people interested in the game when the new collab drops. That would be really awesome. Again, I want gameplay and, of course, skins. I think that those are the two key factors that can really help out make the collab feel a little bit more rewarding for the players versus, again, just like a cosmetic shop. And then I kind of expect to see one new item per class. Usually this is done in a unique sort of form, like a new unique item. So I'm hoping to see some sort of cool new builds emerge off of this. And this is something that even though I'm going to be honestly kind of negative about this, this is kind of the reality of a lot of the things that they have been buffing. So I want to say that there's going to be a few buffs, maybe like 20x more damage on like a D or an F tier skill, and it still remains to be the same. So I'm begging Blizzard, please have these buffs that you are changing on these brand new like updates to work on pit 100. Like if you're going to test something right now that like only can barely do pit 70, make sure that if you're buffing it, it doesn't go from pit 70 to 72 or 74. You need to make sure those numbers, if you're going to buff it up to make players excited about it, it has to be able to do pit 100 at the bare minimum. I think all builds should be able to level up their glyphs. Now, I'm not saying every build needs to be exactly the same in terms of balance, but balance the game in a way where every single build can slowly push to get to that pit 100. That way, there's a incentive for everyone to try to play whatever they really want to. Some builds can definitely be better than others, but if there's a build that literally cannot level up their glyphs, well, it just feels kind of bad for the newer player to kind of experience and play their build and kind of hit a wall that is impossible because the numbers simply don't match up. One excellent example of this would be like the Rabies Druid. It even got buffed technically because of the Pulverized Druid that it can apply Rabies, but Rabies has gotten so many buffs and it's like it's still bad. And I wish that Blizzard would just test these on pit 100 content. That way, again, the build is going to be able to complete all forms of content and comfortably do the tormented bosses versus struggling so hard that people just give up on the build, right? And I think that this is a huge issue. And then also another thing that I saw time and time again, and so I kind of expect to see some sort of changes with this. A lot of people have been complaining about the runes drop rate. Now, we did get those tributes that can give you runes, and I would say honestly, the runes have been getting better, but I still think that overall, the cost to make the Mythic, the amount of runes that you need, is simply too much for your average player, unless they engage in trade or, you know, they play the game 30 hours a day. It's unrealistic for most people to kind of craft those mythics with the deterministic way to craft it via getting the runes on their own. So I want to say it would be really cool to get a guaranteed way to get a very specific rune that you want. I know that you can slam in 3 runes and get a random other rune, but I don't think that that is the greatest way to do it. I think the better way would be just put 3 of the same tier runes or even 2, and then you could choose the rune that you want, because some runes, even though they're the same value in terms of like legendary, they have a vast difference in the value because they craft certain mythics, right? So I think that making it easier for those players to get the mythics would be a great way. So you can either reduce the cost of the runes required or simply make it so these runes are a little bit more frequent, or somehow get some sort of way to craft that specific rune that you want. So I've seen that a lot. Now I want to go into my personal wish list, but first off, I want to show you guys this because this is kind of important. So this is the roadmap. So this is why I know a lot of these things are coming, plus obviously other info. But for the main point is there's actually more to come over here. So I'm not sure what this more to come is, but like, again, this is how I know that these things are for sure coming out. But there's another thing that I wanted to talk about. First things, though, on my wish list is absolute rework on Dario, please. So I really want her to have like maybe one phase only. It's the most annoying boss fight. So if you do it the first time, it's kind of exciting. You have to like do the mechanic. But I think that players really, really hate this boss. And there's been so many memes about like no one wanting to do Andaria. Andaria's a worthless boss to do because it's simply too hard. So the easy way to fix this would be to make the spark drop rate, or this, especially the mythic drop rate, right? Spark or mythic, the chance to drop one of them is very high. So it's like, oh man, Andaria's pretty good to do, because while she's still going to be challenging, that way you guys don't have to rework the boss fight, right? So you just make the drop rate increase on Andaria. That's option one. The other option is to make it so there's only one phase, so you can just like one tap her. If that's the way you want to go, that's kind of what I think the players want. But for me personally, since this is kind of my wish list over here, I would say I don't mind the bosses being challenging, but I don't want to fight the boss 1,000 times, right? If you want to make this boss super challenging, maybe make an option where you get to put in, like we had before, and I actually like this before, we could put in like 10 times the amount of materials, and then you'd have like way more results, right? I think that would be good, because I really hate doing the mythic boss farming. I know that this was something that Colin Finer mentioned, and he's one of the guys that was on the campfire chat. He said, we don't want you to chain farm bosses. And I absolutely agree, and I think a lot of Diablo players are fatigued with the mythic farming, right? They don't want us to chain bosses. But the reality is, if you want a Mythic, this is kind of the real only way to get it. You could do the Mythic tributes, but I absolutely agree with Colin. I don't want to chain farm bosses. So make the bosses, like, you can make them way harder if you want to, but make it so it is worth our time to not farm these bosses for hundreds of times. It's one of the most painful points of Diablo 4 right now is farming mythics, especially because you get that drop and you're like, oh, it's Melted Heart of Sling for the 10th time today. I hate that, so that'd be really cool. Another thing I want to mention is a World Tier 5. This has been something that has been leaked before, Tormented 5, World Tier 5. This has been leaked a while ago. This was actually in 2023. They already had the data from it. Like, this is not just speculation. I don't know when this is coming out. My guess, honestly, with this could be the expansion here, but I actually have no idea. But they actually already have all of the stats over here. They even have the artwork for the brand new upgraded jewels here, so you can see the upgraded skulls, you can see all the stats over here. Again, it just kind of goes up. All these are just numbers. There's not anything honestly interesting with the gems here, but what I'm trying to show off is that this did exist, as in they have the files for it. So I don't know when this is coming, but that would be kind of cool. But the one thing that I think myself, as well as a lot of Diablo players, have been complaining about is that everything is specifically at least one greater affix in, let's say, World Tier 5, or if you want to just make it World Tier 4, because if you're in World Tier 4 or Tormented 4, you only want greater affix items. To see legendaries or yellows or blues, it's just come on, it's just it's picking up garbage, and I don't like that. I've already made a dedicated video talking about why is 90% of the items in Diablo garbage. It's kind of like this thing where I get it, the original game design is to pick up the items, so you salvage it, that way you have materials that you can craft, but there is a little bit of fatigue with this in action RPGs. Loot filters would kind of solve this problem, but if you just add a loot filter, the main issue is then you'd have no crafting materials. So maybe the pet can auto salvage, that's another option. But I think overall in World Tier 4, or if you want to just add World Tier 5, everything at least minimum 1 GA, because you could still get that life per 5 seconds, which is basically a garbage stat anyways. So I want to say that this could be something to consider. And then I want to say making it realistic to get good upgrades could be better, because as you climb higher in the pit, you're supposed to get more GAs, but it really didn't feel like it. So I would say as you climb higher in the pit, maybe be a little bit more lenient on dropping more greater affixes at the very end. Again, if I'm doing pit 100s, there should be an incentive to do it. Right now, it's better to do pit 55 and just slam it as fast as possible, 1 to 2 minute runs, versus doing a pit 100 that will take you almost the entire duration. It is not worth it in terms of XP or loot. So make it realistic to get good upgrades in the game. Talking about XP and all that stuff too. I also feel like the Paragon grind is way worse. I actually think that level 100 was the cool spot of the game. This is back when, again, Infernal Hordes first came out and you could spam with materials to get the whirlwind to get more damage. I also feel like trade could be a good way to get upgrades as well in the game, but going on third-party websites just sucks because no one responds. It's the most annoying thing. You have to always go to a third-party website, deal with people that are annoying or just trying to do gimmicks. I hate it. It's just much better. Just have it in game, man. Hopefully that could be there. And then also, I see this all the time. This is kind of my personal wish list that a lot of people absolutely agree with. Tempering, masterworking checkpoints, and are easier ways to kind of alleviate the pain of just kind of bricking items, or the frustration of just wasting all of your Obdicite all the time. I hate the triple masterworking. It's the most annoying thing. And then I already mentioned this kind of earlier. I expect to see some sort of balance with certain skills, but I think that the main bottom line is to let all skills level up your glyphs to max. Whether they want to make it so it's easier in the pit to do pit 100, or buff up the damage of all of these skills that are kind of bad. All the builds should be able to at least max out the glyphs. And then whoever wants to push the highest, sure, you can have a build 10, 20 pit tiers higher, which is a huge DPS difference. But I think that all of them should be able to level up their glyphs. And then as far as it goes, in the new Infernal Hordes, because that's the new season, right? If we look at what's coming out in the new season, it is going to be an Infernal Hordes update. That's the new season mechanic. And I felt like the last season, as far as the escalations in the Nightmare Dungeons, it's just kind of just chaining Nightmare Dungeons back to back, right? There is a boss at the very end, but I never really felt like that difficulty. So I hope that these mods that they add are more difficult, they're going to make it super hard. Because let's be real, if you guys have ever played, a good build in Diablo, do you really notice when you're going into these escalations the difference in difficulty? I hardly notice a difference personally. So I would say if you want to add these super hard mods, the rewards absolutely need to be worth it. Otherwise, it's well, why would I want to do the new content, right? Because the pit is the main area where you get all of your XP. only, the pit is the only area to get your glyph upgrade. So if they can allow us to maybe upgrade our glyphs in the Infernal Horde, that's another cool way to mix it up, and I think that'd be a great addition as well. And also other things that could drop as rewards from these new upgraded Infernal Hordes. If they want to make it a super difficult thing, the easy things to give us as rewards that players would like are going to be extra runes, like I mentioned before, crafting mythics. You can also drop sparks, or maybe perfect rolled aspects can drop specifically in this area, because a lot of people still are kind of working on getting those perfect aspects. It takes forever. But you could also have like the GAs specifically drop over here, but I felt like as far as the new Nightmare Dungeon escalations, you did get more rewards on GAs, but I didn't feel like it was a huge challenge if you played meta. So if you play non-meta, then yeah, the new escalations could be a little bit more challenging. But again, I would say that they didn't really feel super challenging. And then this one probably won't happen, but hey, this is my wish list, and some of you guys always ask me, what do you want to see in the next season? I mean, this is kind of a small thing. It probably doesn't matter, but I'm just going to mention it. I just really want the female Druid to not look ugly. Let me go and show you what it looks like in Immortal. Alright, so here's the female Druid in Diablo Immortal, and she looks good, man. I even like made a video on how cool the Druid and the customization is in Immortal. I really hope that we can get a better looking Druid, and the reason why, I mean, you can have like the bulky refrigerator build too. I just think having more variety is going to increase the, you know, skins in the game as far as them being sold. So this is, again, something that is probably at the bottom of my wish list, but I still think it'd be cool to make the Druid actually look like a cool hero versus, again, the way it currently looks. But anyways, that's my wish list, and that's kind of what I expect to see, and again, some of the things that you can not expect to see. But anyways, I'm curious to know how you guys feel about Season 10. What do you guys want to see personally for you? What's your personal wish list, and what do you guys think that may come out in the game, maybe that I didn't mention? But that's going to go ahead and wrap up the video. The PTR should be starting very soon. That's why I wanted to make this video. Hopefully within the next like week or two, we're going to get access to PTR, and then we can access and see what the brand new season is all about. But anyways, if you guys want to see that, as well as Season 10 builds and stuff, of course, we'll be dropping lots when it does drop. But anyways, sub if you're new, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Have a good one. Peace out.